Hello, once again. It's time for another Bookerman video. This time we're gonna do the chosen one. Jeff Jarrett, his WCW run, well, his second WCW run. Or to be, I think it was second, which was all the way from October '99, one night after No Mercy, to April 2001. Now, I feel like this was a good character and a good idea, and Jeff Jarrett is a good wrestler, and this was kind of done well in some areas, but it was done very badly in others. I feel like it could have been done better. And a brief rundown of what actually happened. Jarrett debuted, he attacks Bob Bagwell, he starts calling himself the Chosen One, Jeff Jarrett, referring to, in this instance, Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara, the powers that be, as their chosen planet, their guy they want to be the champion. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea, having a guy be the Chosen One. Reference, I don't think you should reference the writers, but reference the idea that the company wants you to be the guy, like Drew McIntyre, and they did it with Vince. I don't think that was a bad idea either, because it worked. It gets you natural heel heat. It shows like you're being favored. Then from there, he was put into the WCW Mayhem tournament. He lost in the semifinals at pay-per-view to Chris Benoit. Again, no problem. Then he started a feud with Benoit. After that, led to him winning the U.S. title. Then they had the NWO 2000, which was interesting, but I think got kind of already fucked out of steam because Bret Hart got hurt almost immediately. But even if it had steam, I don't know how good it would have been. From there, he kind of took over in NWO 2000, had a feud with Sid. The less said about that, the better. That led into the whole New Blood Millionaires Club, the new era of WCW, Russo and Bischoff on TV, and stripping all titles, and he won the tournament to crown world champion at Spring Stampede when Kimberly Page helped him win against DDP. So in about 6 months, he was world champion. Not so bad, right? I mean, there's some bullshit in there, but, well, here's where it gets tricky. This is where we start getting into a lot of the nonsense of Russo booking. So we get, he holds the title for about 8 days before losing it to DDP in a cage match on Nitro. Hot shot booking in his finest. So already he looks kind of like a weak guy to put as your chosen. Like, he can't hold the title for more than 8 days. Yeah, not looking good. But so the title will change hands again just a few days later when David Arquette won a tag match. Yep, this is part of that. They did the pay-per-view. Jeff Jarrett won the title again when David Arquette turned heel in the triple cage. So he was champion. He headed for a feud with Nash, but not before dropping the title to Kevin Nash on Nitro or on Thunder. Then on the next Nitro, Kevin Nash awarded the title to Ric Flair. Jeff Jarrett won the title back that same Nitro when Russo and Bischoff had kidnapped Ric Flair's family, had him on the stage, including Charlotte. You're starting to notice the pattern, aren't you? He won the title again, so he had it again. He beat Nash at the pay-per-view when Goldberg turned heel, helping him win. And then he had his last run, his last reign of his championship. As far as I know, he didn't lose it again before losing it at the... Let's see if I remember how this went now. Bash at the Beach, he laid down for Hogan, when Hogan didn't want to do the job. And that infamous shoot promo moment you're probably all aware of. Hulk Hogan is a piece of shit! Later in the night, a new title match was declared. So this is Jarrett's next reign. Well, he didn't win the title here, but that was his last reign. He lost to Booker T in a match for the vacant title. And that's kind of it. Done that for his title reigns. He would continue to be featured in the main event. He'd have a feud with Sting. He'd be pretty much just kind of feuding with anybody. And then that would lead to the final year, not only in the WCW's last pay-per-view appearance was with teaming with Ric Flair against Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes. Now, part of the problem I have here with this gimmick is that it makes sense some ways that they would be helping him win, but it's like everything Jeff Jarrett gained in the world title picture was always because of the result of either somebody helping him or some other thing that didn't even involve him. Like, Kimberly Page was bad at DDP. Goldberg is heel now. David Arquette hates DDP. Like, he can't do anything with his own self, HG. And yeah, you can book a heel like that, but it's just going to make them seem weak. And also, Hot Shot booking it now. So, let's just start this, because I don't know how long this video is going to be. I do plan to try to go from October 99 Alright, to April of 01, but we might not get all the way there. We have to make up part 2. Good. Let's go to the show where he made his debut, October 99. Now, this is going to be a very important show for several reasons. We're going to rebook some things that happened in several ways. So, we're going to have still the Buff Bagwell thing against La Parka where he doesn't want to work and he does the job. But it's going to be a little different. He's going to come out, he's going to look very deflated. And earlier tonight, we saw the promo where he says he's the chosen one, referencing an interview, a radio interview with like Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara where they talk about Buff. But don't mention them, like just kind of mention, oh, he thinks he's the chosen one. Also, maybe start treating like we don't know what he means. He thinks he's the chosen one, maybe he just thinks it himself, right? Okay, so in the match, he looks sad, and he just lays down immediately. The Parka, as much as you can tell with his mask, looks confused. And he just lays down and pins him. 1, 2, 3. Buff stays down for 30 seconds. He doesn't get up immediately. Then he gets up slowly. So look at disheveled. He asks for a microphone. He looks directly at the camera and says, "Is that good enough for you? Did you like what I just did?" And he says, Buff Bagwell, throughout his entire life, he's been a lot of things. But he has never been a quitter. Never been a jabroni. Never been a loser. And he says, "Oh yeah, I've lost some matches here and there. I had no problem with that. I win some, I lose some. It's the way it is. But I always give you a fight. But never have I taken a dive. Never have I had somebody, some nobody, know-it-all, trying to tell me that it's a good idea if I lose to some guy in a Skeletor outfit out here tonight. But tonight, you witness history, because this is the first and the last time Buff Bagwell takes a dive. Because I am, make no mistake, the chosen one, and I had the stroke." And then, immediately, Jeff Jarrett, kabongs him. Just have him do it off camera with the guitar hitting him, so you don't see Jarrett yet. And then you see Jarrett, and he says, "You want to talk about the chosen one? I'm the chosen one." He grabs his nuts. "I got your stroke right here, just like you did in real life." There you go. That's the way I debut him. But we're going to continue, because it's going to be kind of important. We have to build up to what we're doing here. So, in the same show, in real life, Hulk Hogan was not here. He was not happy, because they wanted to put over Sting. And if there's one thing Hulk Hogan doesn't want to do, it's put over Sting. So, this is before the pay-per-view of Halloween Havoc, where they had this big rematch between him and Sting. Where I'm assuming the original plan was for Sting to go over clean. Since at the previous month, Sting had turned heel, and with help from Lex had beaten Hogan. In a pretty good little match. If you ever want to watch Fall Brawl 99, I'd suggest it's a pretty good little Hogan-Sting match. Especially for later Hogan. When he basically had maybe like 5 good matches left in him. That was probably 1 to 5. Okay, so there was this whole thing of Hogan not being there and then openly wondering. Now, in the original opening of the show, Bret Hart came out with a title shot. We're not going to do that. Instead, Bret's just going to say he does want a title match, but he wants the winner of Halloween Havoc. Lex Luger comes out and they have a match scheduled for a night where it's basically like Lex, if he beats Bret, he doesn't get a shot. Yeah. However, immediately after Jeff Jarrett's second Buff Bagwell, or about 1 match later, we found out from Tony Schiavone's getting this head, he goes, "Oh my word, Hulk Hogan has apparently been found unconscious, some vicious attack," and then he says he's being rushed to the hospital, but there was a broken guitar and a baseball bat placed near him when he was found. It's brought in circulation. So, basically, this is it out. Nitro's a 3-hour show at this point. It's going to take a lot to explain it. This would be in the middle of hour 2. And by the end of hour 2, we find out Hogan was in the hospital. There was no update in his condition. And because they was not sure he was going to make it to Halloween Havoc this Saturday, or Sunday, or whatever. Halloween Havoc is Sunday, isn't it? WCW Halloween Havoc 99. Basically, there's going to be a match to make a #1 contender tonight on Nitro. Now, the idea here is said that if Hogan can make it to Halloween Havoc, he will still receive his title match. And the other person will receive the title match on the next Nitro. However, this is sort of a fail-safe thing. So we announced it's going to be Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Chris Benoit. A triple threat match right here tonight. Basically taking the Bret Luger match. I already planned this for Chris Benoit. Now in the match, it's the opening of hour 3. For a very good reason. So, they're having their match. Well, Jeff Jarrett comes out. El Cabone's Bret. Right when he has a sharpshooter on Lex. Because he does this, Bret falls down. Chris Benoit is able to sneak in, lock in the crippler crossface, and Lex taps out. So I've seen Chris Benoit and everything there. In the main event segment thing, we have Sting and Chris Benoit have a little face-off. Sting points his bat at Benoit and he's like, you know, Chris, you looked into what you think is a lottery, but it was really going to be is nothing more than a walk in the park for the Stinger. And of course, Chris Benoit's like, everybody's out me, yada, 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 we're going to fight. And then Sting goes to crack the bat on Benoit, but Benoit ducks, gives him a German suplex. And he goes for the crippler crossface, but luckily Sting's pulled out by Lex. Yada, 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 right? So, how do we have it? Oh, shit. How do we have it? Jeff Jarrett and Buff Bagwell have a singles match. Jeff Jarrett wins. Really doesn't even mean yesterday here. This is going to be the end of the feud. Although, they might meet up again soon. I'll explain in a minute. In the main event of the evening. Also, Lex takes on Brett in the singles match to kind of continue the little feud they're kind of having since Nitro. So, alright. Benoit Sting. Well, the finish goes like this. Sting is going for... Chris Benoit's starting to get Sting like near the crossface. He has his arm... Like, he has this arm like this and his head. Sting grabs a ref. And he's pulled down. He pulls the ref down so the ref falls. Benoit has Sting in the crossface. And we are inclined because Benoit's face was this way. He didn't see the ref fall. So Sting's put in. He tries to fight it, but he taps out about like 10 seconds in. Chris Benoit sees this and he lets go. Then he sees the ref down. He's a little upset. But then Sting comes behind him. Low blows him with the bat right in the balls. Hits him with a scorpion death drop. He goes for the pin. And he even like does that cover where you kind of hold the person's arms down. But shockingly, Benoit kicks out. Sting looks pissed. He locks in. He goes lock in the scorpion death lock. And the referee is still kind of holding his head and distracted. So he gets a low blow to Chris Benoit to really sneak it in. Then he locks in the scorpion death lock. Benoit passes out, and the bell's called. But Sting does not let go to hold. He's angry. He's angered at Chris Benoit for giving this such of a challenge. And when he falls, the scorpion death lock, he keeps locking it in. It very much looks like Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler, SummerSlam. So he keeps it in. Eventually, some people come. He breaks it up. But then he grabs his bat and he starts hitting Chris Benoit in the back. And then the referee is yelling at him. He hits the referee with the bat, and he finally leaves. He grabs his title and he leaves. That's the way the pay-per-view ends in chaos. However, the next night on Nitro, we find out that J.J. Dillon calls out... Not J.J. Dillon. Let's put a guy with a little more 40. Let's say... we're going to just push things a little further in the future. Terry Funk makes his WCW return. He's not a commissioner of WCW. And he says, Sting, you need to get out here. I've been giving you a 40. I'm stripping you the WCW title for your actions last night. Sting's pissed. He's confused. But he's like, what did I do? He's like, well, you refused to break the hold after you already won the match. And you assaulted an official several times. As a result, I'm stripping the title. There's going to be a 60-man tournament. Just like real life with the Mayhem, except now it's 16. We don't need 42 men. That's way too many men. So there doesn't need to be a whole lot of explanation here. Just booked it basically the same, except without all the stupid interferences, bullshit, and Medusa's not in this thing like 3 times and all that dumb shit. And it basically goes with the same finals. Oh, and Goldberg and Brett never happens here because Goldberg actually, he wins his first match against Ming, moves on to Jeff Jarrett, and that is the match where we don't have interference. Because Sid Vicious decides to fuck him over. And he actually loses by count. He doesn't get pinned. Loses by count out. After Sid Vicious actually gives him a powerbomb on the outside of the concrete floor. That's just the build-up Goldberg and Sid. Doesn't really matter. But the pay-per-view, it's basically the same result. Benoit beats Jarrett. And Brett beats... who did he beat? No, Sting. Confused. He beats Sting. Brett and Benoit in Canada. For a title, Brett wins. No bullshit. Now, the only thing I would have is that Jeff Jarrett, like, he would kind of be his own worst enemy, where he'd go for the guitar El Kabong, and Benoit would be smart and move and hit him with a German suplex, hit the 1-2-3 pin. That's the way he actually gets him, so he outsmarts Jarrett. So it still keeps Jarrett looking kind of strong. Now, this leads to, instead of us getting Goldberg and Brett at Starrcade, because fuck that, we're not injuring Goldberg. Instead, we actually get Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, taking on Bret the Hitman Hart at Starrcade. Pretty simple storyline here of Jeff Jarrett. There's a match on Nitro. Goldberg was supposed to be in it, but he's taken out. So instead, he takes on the man that beat him the night before, Chris Benoit. Jeff Jarrett wins. Not cheating. He actually beats him clean. He beats him with the stroke. He actually is going, as Chris Benoit is going for a crossface, he grabs a rope, and he's able to like nudge Chris Benoit a little off, and he's able to grab, and like kind of elbow him in the face and grab him. And hit the stroke right there, because I think that would be a cool spot. Just picture that in your head for a minute. He's in the ropes. Benoit has him like this. He grabs the rope and then Benoit's latest, and then whoop, there you go. Then, if you're wondering about Goldberg, he's actually in a tag team title match with Sid, who he's basically best friends with now, brothers in blood or something, taking on the Outsiders in a match that's built like no hard no rules, no DQ. You know, it's a brutal match. So I feel like that'd be fun, and they win the tag titles for running. So Brett and Jeff Jarrett in this match, because this is like the WrestleMania of WCW, Jeff Jarrett does hit there's a ref dump. I mean, it's Jeff Jarrett match, and we kind of avoided him till now for the most part. But anyway, he hits a El Cabal on Brett, and he makes sure to clear off the guitar shots. Goes for the pin, 1, 2, Brett kicks out, Jeff is shot. So he goes for the stroke, but Brett's able to counter it by holding on to the rope and just kind of shove him down. Then he pokes Brett in the eye. He decides to put the sharpshooter in himself, because why not? Goes for this, but Brett gets to the ropes. Jeff doesn't want to break. He finally does, but he pulls him away. He goes for the sharpshooter again, but Brett's able to reverse that directly into the sharpshooter. And Jeff Jarrett doesn't pass out, or doesn't tap out, but he does pass out with the free arm rule. Bret Hart retains. The next night on Nitro, Jeff Jarrett is angrily complaining in the back to anybody who will listen that he did not lose last night. The referee screwed him. He's the chosen one, Jeff Jarrett, and somebody needs to be fired, and he's gonna find that referee, and he's gonna find Bret Hart, and he's in the bag. He's like beating people's ass who get in his way, like he beats up Lash LaRue or something. So later there's a match. It doesn't really matter what match, and he sees the ref that actually called the match. He gives him the El Cabon. This leads to, actually, never mind, Terry Funk, Roddy Piper comes back. Just forget I said Terry Funk, Roddy Piper's still here. They're still paying him a lot of money. Roddy Piper is the GM. He's the commissioner. Roddy Piper comes out, he's unhappy. And then he's like, you crazy son of a bitch. You're not the chosen one. You're delusional. You're just another one of these guys in the back who thinks they deserve everything to be handed on a silver platter. I need to stop trying to do this guy's accent anyway. You think you deserve everything handed on a silver platter, but all you deserve is an ass whooping. So Jeff Jarrett says, alright, you old crusty son of a bitch who should have retired years ago, who I'm pretty sure is half dead now as you speak to me. How about, I got a challenge for you. How about I shut up your stupid mouth once and for all? So Roddy Piper's like, alright, let's do this. Sold out. Well, it won't be sold out because there's no NWO, so we'll call it, not greed or sin. I don't like that. I don't know, not Clash of Champions. Maybe something like New Year's Bash. The January WCW pay-per-view, whatever. We actually get a no DQ match between... Well, let's do it harder. Let's take Jeff Jarrett and I Quit match with Roddy Piper, where there are some specific stipulations. If Jarrett makes Roddy Piper say I quit, he gets a title match. But more importantly, Roddy Piper has to leave WCW. Or not be commissioner. Let's say he's not commissioner. Roddy Piper wins. Jeff Jarrett does not receive a title match all the way till 2001. Because it's 2000. And in this match, Jeff Jarrett wins. As he should. Bret Hart in the main event does not beat Goldberg. We gotta keep Goldberg away from Bret. Fuck that. So, we get, Bret can fight, I think who's a good heel? You know, he probably could pull out another good match with Nash, so maybe Nash. But I don't know. I'm trying to think. Maybe there's the hard to think of who would be a good heel to face Bret at this point who's in WCW that can really go. We'll just say like, hey, let's assume Eddie Guerrero doesn't go to WWF. He fights Eddie Guerrero. Anyway, that leads to Super Brawl between Bret the Hitman Hart and Jeff Jarrett in a match where it is ruled that anything goes, and it's 2 out of 3 falls, because why not? So, Bret wins the first fall. Not with a sharpshooter, though. He wins with a power driver. But Jeff wins the next 2 falls. So, become the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Because, why not? Bret doesn't really need a long reign. You know, he's a big enough star already. And this frees you up to kind of do what should be done. This allows Bret to kind of do other things. Well, so over the next 3 months, I don't want to go for everything, but we don't do the New Blood Millionaires Club crap because most of that was shit. So Jeff Jarrett beats DDP at the next pay-per-view at Uncensored. A returning DDP. They have a brief little feud, yada, yada, yada. And then he beats Booker T. And then he finally beats, what would it be, Slamboree? So at Slamboree, there's a fatal four-way with Goldberg, Jeff Jarrett, Bret Hart. Don't worry, Bret Hart and Goldberg would interact. And Shane Douglas, because why not? I don't know. And Jeff wins by pinning Shane. Now, at the Great American Bash is where we're kind of starting to see... And Jeff Jarrett and all this is pretty much picking up clean wins, at least at the pay-per-view. He might cheat sometimes on TV to get a win. He might take a dirty low road, but he's winning on TV. Or on pay-per-view, I should say. Blah, blah, blah. And, keeping with the Chosen One gimmick, he occasionally has people interfere in his matches on his behalf, such as Mike Awesome, who's recently debuted, Rick Steiner, who's recently returned, seemingly for no other reason than just to help Jeff Jarrett keep his title, because they don't really team with him. He doesn't really talk to them. So, there's all this going on. And at one point, Goldberg actually has a title match with Jeff Jarrett on Nitro, which he loses by countouts. Again, with that's really countouts. After Mike Awesome powerbombs him for a table. This happens like right after Slamboree. And that sets up a double main event of sorts of Slamboree. Goldberg and Mike Awesome in a table match. Jeff Jarrett taking on Ric Flair in a title for his career match. Pretty simple stuff here. Ric Flair can make fun of Jeff Jarrett for never being the Four Horsemen. Jarrett can make fun of Ric Flair for being old and needing to retire. And they have a match, and then Jarrett actually wins with the figure four. But not the way he submits. He gets pinned. He puts Flair like that. Goldberg beats Mike Awesome. And I tell you what, he spears him for the table. Because this is building up to the Bash at the Beach. Now, Jeff Jarrett has now been champion for 5 months. Goldberg has been on a tear. Goldberg's still very over, or should be. So, Goldberg fights Jarrett. Goldberg wins. They have a rematch the next pay-per-view. Not New Blood Rising. I don't know what it'd be called. Because New Blood doesn't exist. Goldberg wins. Again, in a cage match. And that, basically, that ends with Jeff Jarrett kind of main event title picture scene for a while. And it does lead to Jeff Jarrett starting a feud with Mike Awesome. Where Mike Awesome and him are briefly made a tag team. Where they're told that this is what they want. And they have a little run where they kind of compete for the tag titles. They compete in that tournament for the Vacant Tag titles. But in the final match against, let's say, Rey Mysterio and Kidman, Jeff Jarrett decides to El Kabong Mike Awesome. Leaves in the ring for Kidman to pin with shooting star press. Now, why did he do that? Well, he explains on the next Thunder, because why not Thunder, that Mike Awesome was nothing but a glory hog who was always trying to steal the spotlight, and he couldn't get the job done against Goldberg. And he is going to end his career once and for all before it even begins, leading to a match at, what was it, Fall Brawl? Yeah, Fall Brawl. So in that match, Mike Awesome Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett gets the win, but he actually does cheat this time. He low blows Jarrett, he makes to the rest turn, he low blows Awesome, hits him with the El Kabong, and then, for good measure, Mike Awesome takes the El Kabong, and he's kind of floating, he's got enough falling, he's kind of stunned. Jarrett hits a stroke. And Jarrett looks a little shocked after he doesn't fall down from the guitar shot. El Kabong! That sets up Awesome and Jeff Jarrett at Halloween Havoc in an ambulance match, which Awesome wins after he Awesome bombs Jarrett through the ambulance. Because why not? And then after this, Jeff Jarrett, Mike Awesome starts a little feud with Goldberg. They will eventually lead to Starrcade, where Awesome plays Goldberg and wins the title. It's for Jarrett. Just a little casual letter. Jarrett starts a brief feud with Rey Mysterio where he hates him for being little or whatever. They have a match at Mayhem. He wins. Jarrett actually wins. Pronouns, pal. At the Starrcade, there's a 6-man tag with the Filthy Animals, Jeff Jarrett, Rick Steiner, and Sid Vicious, who's just returned from injury. They make a group. I don't know what it would be called. Maybe something like Chosen Dynasty. No, anyway, we are Roughnecks. They win the 6-man tag. And after this, we get basically a big main event where it's Goldberg, Mike Awesome, Jeff Jarrett, and Bret Hart, who has not retired at this point because he hasn't got fucked up at whatever would be Sin, which is a sin. And in this match, Jeff Jarrett actually wins the title for a second time, but only because he's going to lose it at Super Bowl to Mike Awesome to put him over again, to firmly establish Mike Awesome as a big star. Because why not? Mike Awesome's cool. At this point, WCW is almost dead in real life, but we don't know it's dead, here. But it's the last month, it's the last pay-per-view. We get a brief little feud between Scott Steiner and Jeff Jarrett, with Scott Steiner getting the win on pay-per-view against him. I mean, maybe they're fighting for Rick Steiner, I don't know. You took my brother. You my brother. I don't know. And that basically ends our WC Jeff Jarrett Chosen One run. Now, some things I'd like to point out, because I kind of speed ran through this. We never see Russo on camera or anything, or Bischoff, and it's heavily implied that when he talks about I'm the chosen one, I'm the one they want, that we don't know if Jeff Jarrett is either like actually talking about a person or some like voices in his head or some invisible, unseen thing. And I think that's about it. But I feel like this would be a much better run. Sure, he doesn't get to have 4 or 5 world title runs, however many he had, WCW in 2000. But he does get to have one consistent 5-month run in 2000, followed by a very short 1-month run in 2001. And in the process, you also have Goldberg being champion again. Mike Awesome gets to be champion. But Hart, his career isn't over, which really doesn't have anything to do with Jeff Jarrett, but just kind of moving the pieces on the board around kind of changes things. And also, we don't have to watch a Jeff Jarrett Sid match. Ooh, those matches are dreadful. Anyway, that's how I would book the Chosen One Jeff Jarrett's run in WCW. Basically, just his last WCW run in general. Now, what would this mean for TNA? Would WCW still die? I don't know. I mean, I could actually see WCW still living because they would actually gave like some of the rating. Like the only reason they even died, it wasn't ratings. It was because Jamie Kellner hates wrestling. Basically, so if that never happens, Jamie Kellner's never in charge. Maybe they're still alive. Don't know. But anyway, that's what I was thinking about. Kind of been a hyperfixation for a little while now. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.